Is Black American culture being replaced by Africans? Well, we're going to talk about that by looking at this one particular story that I think you're going to find quite interesting. So let's go ahead and dive into it, shall we? So in this video, we're going to focus in on a particular story that comes to us out of Colorado Springs. Now, as far as the question that I just posed to you, this is a discussion that has been going on for quite some time. If you spend any amount of time here on social media, you have Black Americans that are at the point right now where we are saying, hey, listen, we want to make a clear distinction between us as Black Americans and people that are coming from other countries or different continents, such as Africa, or, coming from Central South America. You have blacks over there as well, in the Caribbean or whatever, because this U.S. government has a way of just putting us all together into this one big category. However, it's the others that are coming in that are getting the biggest benefits. So this is why you got this whole delineation conversation going on. There's some of it that I agree with. There's some of it I don't. But nonetheless, it is a very real thing. Now, if you take a look at what we had just discussed recently, we actually looked at the numbers and why this is a very important conversation. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing here, but I would encourage you to go to our community page and take a look at this post here, because what we talked about are the several things that we should be very, very concerned about as Black Americans. In short, I'll just say this. What we know today as Black American culture, we're going extinct. That's the big thing right there. We are heading into an extinct state where we're no longer going to be in existence. We're heading into that period. I mean, it's just nothing more to say on that. I wish I could say it. I wish I had something else to tell you, but that's just what it is. So here's the areas what we looked at. We looked at median income. This is the least of our concerns here, but we looked at median income, and we were able to point out, and I showed you the charts as well, that Black Americans and where we stand when it comes to median income. Of course, we're on the lowest end of that spectrum, but it's not just that. Like I said, again, that's the least of it. What we also looked at is birth replacement. Now, this is very important. This is probably, I would say, probably one of the most important things on this, birth replacement. And so we did a video recently. It's talked. The title of it is what should be the focus for the Black American community in 2025. And what we looked at is the birth replacement levels. You want to know who has the highest birth replacement levels in the world? It's Niger. It's Africa, pretty much the continent of Africa. Their birth replacement rate in Niger is close to 7 children per woman. Of course, that doesn't apply to every woman, but they have an extremely high birth replacement rate. What's recommended for any demographic that wants to continue their line, if you will, their existence, is 2.1 children per woman. Niger is at close to 7 children per woman. All right. That just gives you an idea. When you go to the lowest, I think is somewhere like around Kenya, something like that. They're like 3, almost 4 children per woman. All right. So that's where they are. All right. So that's Africa. Africa's on the highest end when it comes to replacement. When we look at here now, let's jump over the Atlantic Ocean and look at America. When it comes to white Americans, remember, the recommended is 2.1 children per woman. White America is at 1.8 children per woman. Black America is at 1.9, but it's more and more. It's declining. We're declining. We're not going the same direction as people from the continent of Africa, which means that we are heading into a state of we're going to be extinct. A lot of noise has been made about as far as like Black America, or rather white Americans, their numbers are going down, but it's also Black Americans too. And so we're pretty much, and we're seeing this. I mean, this system is reminding of this stuff all the time. When you look at movies, when you look at sports and, different things, you're seeing more and more Africans are replacing Black Americans in a lot of these different high positions. You're starting to see it. You're seeing it in government. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. I'm just kind of giving you some highlights here as we get into our main story here of this video. So birth replacement, we talked about that. Fourth grade reading levels. We talked about how fourth grade, who has the highest advanced reading levels in the United States? It's the Asians. The Asian population has the highest. Who has the lowest? Was not African Americans. We're like the second lowest. But what that tells us is that who we are going to be depending on when it comes to innovation, when it comes to interpretation, when it comes to agricultural development and all other things, is we're going to be leaning on the Asians. So again, we are leaning we are running at a breakneck speed towards our own extinction, especially when you consider two things that we are endorsing, that we endorse at a very high rate. In this recent elections, we saw that 92% of black women voted for Kamala. That says a whole lot. And then around 80% voted for Kamala as well. What are the two policies that she was promising to take even further? It was LGBTQ and it was also abortion. Those two things inherently are anti-population growth. So when you have these two gender groups, talking about black males, black females, at an almost pretty much majority rate saying, hey, listen, we like these ideas and we want more of these. We want this thing to go even further. By default, we are eliminating our own numbers. And we talked about that, as well. And then we went into some other things there. So again, I would highly encourage you, if you haven't taken a look at that, make sure you take a look at this post. So let's get to our main story here, because this story has a lot in it, and it's a great example of what I'm talking about. It just so happens that there were enough slip ups in this one where we're able to capture it and we're able to analyze it. Now, as we're going through the story, I'll also say this: there's going to be some reading in this. I know we're in all right, just get to the point generation, but I'm just giving you a heads up, okay? So let's take a trip down to Colorado Springs, where we have what the media was setting up as the first black mayor of Colorado Springs. Well, let's just listen along to this, because we're going to add a slight correction to that. So with that, we're going to head to channel 11. I think this is in local Colorado Springs. Let's take a listen to this news report. This is what the news report they did in celebrating his election. Let's take a look.
History Month and all year long, we are elevating black voices.
And tonight, we talked to the new mayor of Colorado Springs. Yemi Mobolade is a Nigerian immigrant who wants to bring a new perspective to that city.
Your reporter Michael Abeda got to spend some time with the mayor. He talked to him about his goals and how he won over a city that's historically been one of the more conservative in the state.
I shocked myself too. People were all shocked.
When Yemi Mobolade ran for mayor of Colorado Springs, not many gave him a chance. The city, just 50 miles south of Denver, has traditionally been a conservative stronghold. And Yemi is a Nigerian immigrant who is unaffiliated. But he says deep down, he always knew he was the right man for the job.
I think we put forward something that transcends political ideology, political party, coupled with there's a hunger for a leadership that really connects with the people.
Mayor Yemi says he found his calling in college when he came to the United States to pursue a career in computers.
I'm like, okay, I could make good money. But I learned quickly during my IT internship that I was designed for more, something different, especially in the arena of leadership.
Life led him to Colorado Springs, and he decided this is where he wanted to spend the rest of his life. He became a United States citizen and started a family. But all the while, he says he still felt a pull to lead. So in 2023, he ran for mayor.
We ran a clean campaign. We ran a campaign that was about unifying people. I presented an Abraham Lincoln type of leadership, the ability to still find worth and value in enemies, how we speak about them, how we lead through all of that.
And despite the naysayers and doubters, he won. He thinks the people of Colorado Springs were ready for something new.
We need something different. Let's give this black leader a chance, and let's see beyond the color of his skin. We're going to see who he is, his character, the things that he brings to the table.
And even though he says he wants to lead all people, he says the historic nature of his election isn't lost on him.
I am proud that we made history I am the first black elected mayor of this great city. I'm the first immigrant mayor of this great city. I mean, that's nothing small that not only I accomplished, we accomplished. It took a village.
And he says he hopes he can inspire future leaders to pursue their dreams.
And I believe that you can do anything. And now to hear other young minority kids believe that is super exciting, and it's one of the coolest things. Do we have more work to do as a nation to ensure that we are moving the needle in terms of equal opportunity and civil rights and continue to advance the work of our predecessors? Yes, we do. And the other part of the narrative is that we've also made a lot of progress.
Mayor Yemi says one of his primary goals is to turn Colorado Springs, once called a city of hate by some, into a more diverse, welcoming, and safe place for all. In Colorado Springs, Michael Aveda, covering Colorado First.
Okay, so there you go. So that was probably a good way of just summarizing, who he is and how he became mayor and all of that. Well, fast forward to November this year, there was some news that just came out. And let's jump to that. We're going to go back to 11 News in Colorado. And we're going to read about a story that just came out and just was made public. So let's go back to the news here, and we're going to read this. It's amazing. As soon as you see the cross burning, well, you know what kind of story you're about to get into, some drama here. But it's going to get a lot deeper than this in a moment. Man convicted in 2019 murder accused in Colorado Springs hate crime hoax investigation. Reportedly had contact with Mayor Yemi Mobolade. Uh-oh. Again, this came out in November 15th. Colorado Springs, Colorado. A man found guilty of killing someone in 2019 is one of 3 suspects in an investigation into a possible hate crime hoax last year. The U.S. Attorney's Office recently released an indictment of 3 people tied to the burning of a cross in front of a mayoral candidate's campaign sign that had a racial slur written on it. The video in question seemed to be targeted at Mayor Yemi Mobolade, who at the time was a candidate running against Wayne Williams in the mayoral election. Now, investigators believe it was staged by Derek Bernard Jr., Ashley Blackcloud, and Deanna West in an effort to Mobolade's campaign. And they say you can read more here. I'm trying to see if they had anything else there, but that's just the start of it there. All right. But wait, there's more. This one, we're going to get into more of the details, and then we're going to actually read what the feds put together. All right. That's where we get into a lot more reading here. Now, this article here on the Daily Wire, well, it gives us a little bit more info. So let's read this here. The FBI interviewed Mobolade twice to determine his knowledge of the hoax, and Mobolade explicitly and strenuously denied contact with Bernard, the official said. The official said there was dozens of messages between Bernard and the now mayor. The officials also said Mobolade was scrolling through his phone as a memory aid during the interview, but that, quote, he was literally skipping over text messages, not realizing the Bureau had already obtained them elsewhere. Bernard is a career criminal who was sentenced to 32 months in prison in 2018, allegedly attempted to kill 2 police officers, and has since been convicted of an unrelated murder of a rapper who disrespected him. As a result of Mobolade's conduct in the interviews, the FBI referred to now mayor of the Department of Justice to face charges for making false statements to federal investigators. The official said, but the Justice Department refused. Well, who's running the Justice Department? It's Biden and Kamala. So this is Biden's Justice Department. They refuse. Well, why did they refuse? Well, let's take a look. The initial response from the Department of Justice was, quote, we can't indict the first black mayor of Colorado Springs. Here we go with the DEI stuff. The official said, adding, well, I added that it's the DEI stuff. In my experience, if anyone had been in that position, they would have been charged with lying to a federal agent. Instead, the Justice Department arranged for Mobolade to do a 3rd interview. So they're kicking the can. They knew this guy wasn't no good. So instead of just going right out and saying, hey, listen, let's go ahead and, you need to go ahead and press charges or whatever, Instead of doing that, they said, nah, we're going to arrange that you do another interview. Now, the fact that the Justice Department, Biden's Justice Department, instructed the FBI to do another one, what that tells me is, and you're going to see in a moment, they kind of let him know on how he's supposed to answer in this third interview. Let's read it. Acting U.S. Attorney for Colorado, Matt Kirsch, put out a, back up. Sorry, I jumped ahead. During that interview, now this is the third interview, most of his answers consisted of, I do not recall. This was contrary to his interview answers from the previous two interviews where he denied involvement very strongly, the official said. The DOJ then told the FBI it would not charge him with false statements. So you see that? So someone gave him heads up and told him, listen, if you're going to do this interview again, we're kicking the can for you. But this time you better shut up and just tell him you don't recall and keep it moving. And that's exactly what he did. The would-be hate crime occurred in 2023 between April 4th general election and a May runoff election that was scheduled because the general election was so close. Earlier this month, arrest warrants were issued against 3 suspects, and on November the 12th, the case was unsealed and made public. This is why we're reading it now. Acting U.S. Attorney for Colorado, Matt Kirsch, put out a press release that day that misrepresented the candidate's role. It said Bernard sent a message to the other defendants that said he was mobilizing my squad for black ops. But that message, according to the actual indictment, was sent to the now mayor, not to Black Cloud or West. The message also notified Mobolade that I spoke with some of my friends in other places and there's a plot amiss. The article goes on, okay? And you can read it on your own time. So they got a lot on this mayor already, okay? But there's more to this, as you'll see. So let's now, for that, we're going to go to the actual court paperwork, the court documents. And this is where it's going to be some reading here. And, you know, just letting you know, this is my second time doing this video. I looked down, the video was completed, and literally for some reason, the record button wasn't pressed. This ain't the first time that's happened. But anyway, I'm just giving you that. Anyway, so with that being said, let's go into this. And you're going to see that they got this mayor at every corner. In the United States District Court for the District of Colorado. And then it goes on here. So these are the plaintiffs. This is the 3 individuals. 2 of them, I was able to confirm that they're definitely black. One, I'm not sure. And but anyway, Derek Patrick Bernard Jr., aka Phoenix Gorilla, Ashley Danielle Black Cloud, aka Ashley Hernandez, aka Trinity Black Cloud, and Deanna Crystal West, aka Vital Sweets, aka Sage West. You got these AKAs anyway, and that's not the sorority. But anyway, grand jury charges at all times relevant and material to this indictment unless otherwise indicated. So let's go. Let's get into it. Count 1. You're going to make sure you want to pay attention to everything I'm saying in here. Number 1, Colorado Springs was the second largest city in Colorado. An election for mayor of the city was held April the 4th, 2023. No mayoral candidate received a majority of the votes cast on April the 4th, 2023. A runoff election between the 2 leading candidates was scheduled for May the 16th, 2023. As relevant to the allegations in this indictment, candidate 1 was black and candidate 2 was white. And, you know, and when they say candidate 1, they're talking about mayor, this African mayor here. Okay, that's what they're talking about. Derek Patrick Bernard Jr., a.k.a. Phoenix Gorilla, Ashley Danielle Black Cloud, a.k.a. Ashley Hernandez, and Trinity Black Cloud, Deanna Crystal West, Vital Sweets, whatever, were all residents of Colorado Springs, Colorado. Each was associated with a nonprofit entity known as Family Flavors The Slide, WBN, which maintained an office in Colorado Springs. This organization, Family Flavors on the Slide, marketed itself as a minority-owned independent broadcasting and multimedia organization. Now, let me stop here for a second And I want you to realize something. Oh, it wasn't even on the screen. So let me put it on the screen for you. I want you to realize something. This is how these people roll in this world. When you get into the murkiness of politics and the political world, they always get these shady people that somehow have this knowledge of running media organizations and stuff like that. They do this all the time. I cannot tell you how many times when we did the whole coverage of you remember the Colorado ranchers, the 2 black ranchers, and immediately black folks jumped on that, all in our emotions and just ready to burn Colorado Springs down. Well, we took a step back and looked at all the facts, and we started seeing some patterns and things that was happening. I went to see the origin, how this story even became a national story, and I found the similar patterns. Somehow nobody in Colorado Springs knew about that, all this stuff that supposedly these black ranchers were supposedly experiencing. The only news organization that picked it up was this shady kind of news organization based in New York City. Remember now, this is in Colorado Springs, but in New York City, they picked it up. And from there, all of a sudden now they started plugging it in on social media and all this other stuff. But there were some other things that went on too. We were going through details. We were showing you extra video that a lot of platforms were cutting out, stuff that the branchers were saying that did not align with the narrative. And it was a bunch of stuff. People were getting mad, but we were we were standing on truth on this thing. I love my people, but I love the truth more. But this one has the same kind of flavoring to it. So as we will continue here, the conspiracy to maliciously spread disinformation about a cross burning. On or about between April the 5th, 2023 and May the 16th, both dates being approximate and inclusive, the defendants Derek Patrick Bernard, Ashley Danielle Black Cloud, and Trinity Black Cloud did knowingly and voluntarily conspire and agree together with each other to commit an offense against the laws of the United States, namely a violation of Code 18 USC through the use of instrumentalities of interstate commerce, the internet and email, and in affecting interstate commerce by willfully making a threat and maliciously conveying false information, knowing the same to be false concerning an alleged attempt being made to intimidate an individual. Candidate 1, who is Mayor Yemi, by means of fire in the form of a burning cross placed in front of a campaign sign for candidate 1, defaced with the N-word, right? So let's continue. Purpose of the conspiracy. The purpose of the conspiracy was to use the instrumentalities of the interstate commerce to maliciously convey false information during an election about an alleged attempt to intimidate candidate 1 by means of the threat conveyed by a burning cross. Next point, the manner and means by which the conspiracy was carried out. The interdependent manner by which the means of the defendants sought to accomplish the purpose of the conspiracy included, among other things, the following. On or about April the 5th, 2023, the day after the mayoral election, Bernard texted Black Cloud that he wanted to talk in person because he was not talking on the phone about nothing that's about to happen, and that I'ma just talk to you about a few plans. They just transcribed this, okay? On or about April the 3rd, Bernard sent a Facebook message to candidate 1. Okay, this is the mayor. I know it's crunch time, sir, but look, I spoke with some of my friends in other places and there's a plot amiss. I'm mobilizing my squadron in defense and for the final push. Black Ops style, big brother. The Klan cannot be allowed to run this city again. And what he's alluding to is Colorado Springs a while back. I mean, you're talking many years ago, used to be a hotbed for the KKK. It's far from that now. I'm sure you'll find some remnants of that on the way outskirts, like in some of the smaller towns out of there. But for the most part, it is far from that. But anyway, I still hear sometimes black folks like to pull that up. Oh, and I forgot to mention my family and I, we used to live in Colorado Springs, so we're a little familiar with this city. All right. On or about April the 13th, 2023, Bernard sent a series of Facebook messages to Black Cloud. Among other things, Bernard told Black Cloud, I can't let the Klan retake the city. Candidate 1 really won already. They doing some bees run off now because they ain't trying to let an African win, and I got a plan. During the election, supporters of Candidate 1 placed a campaign sign encouraging others to vote for Candidate 1 in a grassy area on the northwest corner of the intersection of North Union Boulevard and East Fillmore Street, two of Colorado Springs' major traffic arteries. On or about April the 23rd, between approximately 2:30 and 3:30 a.m., Bernard, Black Cloud, and West worked together to place a wooden cross in front of that campaign sign. Red spray paint, similar in kind to the can later found in the passenger compartment of Black Cloud's car, was used to write the N-word on the sign. The wooden cross was then set on fire. An iPhone 13 was used to take a short video of the scene and to take a photograph shown below. Now, this is their first giveaway here. That whoever sent this picture, and you're gonna find that later on as we're reading this, that they sent this picture out, kind of like an anonymous, like as if someone just happened to be walking down the street and they saw this and they took a picture of it. Well, I want you to kind of think for a second. Whoever took this picture is the person that did this, because you're not going to do this and then within seconds some innocent bystander sees this and snaps a picture of this cross, but they don't take a picture of the person who actually did it, because if they took it this early in the fire, the person who actually did it is still nearby somewhere. But for some reason, we don't see that person. What we're to believe is that they made a beeline right to the cross, got right on it, made sure it was on absolute frame, and then that's it, and they ignored everything else around them. So again, whoever took this picture is the same people who actually did this whole scene that you see in front of you. So that was the first giveaway, but let's move on. On or about the same day later in the evening, April 23rd, 2023, Black Cloud and West worked together to send an email, here in after referred to as the Angie M 11587 email, to, among others, local broadcast news outlets. Attached to the email was the above photograph and the video. Several news agencies published news stories of the cross burning. So as you can see, these people immediately hit the ground running, knowing exactly how to communicate to the mainstream media. So they're trained. This ain't just random bystanders here. On or about April the 23rd at approximately 7:30 p.m., Bernard texted Candidate 1, "I guarantee the finish," in response to a message about needing support to get to the finish line of the mayoral election. On or about April the 25th, Bernard texted Candidate 1, again, "Brother, some foul stuff came up and I'm something our email. I'm not about to play with racist cowards, brother." On or about April the 26th at approximately 10:55 p.m., Bernard spoke with Candidate 1 for approximately 5 minutes via telephone. Now, let me ask you something. What is Mayor or future Mayor Yemi Mobolade, why is he having a 5-minute conversation with this individual? If you are a mayor in a majority white city, you are trying to be as far away from any signs of trouble at all. But yet, days before the election, he's having a 5-minute phone call with this guy. I'm just saying, don't play stupid here, okay? On or about May the 16th, Candidate 1 won the runoff election for mayor of Colorado Springs. Bernard texted Candidate 1, "Sir, time upon us all, and we got you through it all, brother. Well done again. I have the info you requested before. Another time, though, we'll handle business." Okay. On or about May the 16th, Bernard texted Black Cloud a link to apply for job positions with the city of Colorado Springs. He then told Black Cloud, quote, "On back end, I got a plan, and I want favors quicker than later." Overt acts in furtherance of the conspiracy. In furtherance of the conspiracy objective, acting interdependently, one or more of the conspirators committed one or more of the following acts in the state and district of Colorado. A, On or about April the 23rd, between approximately 2:30 a.m. and 3:30 a.m., Bernard, Black Cloud, and West traveled to the area around the intersection of North Union Boulevard and East Fillmore Street. I know it sounds like it's repeating itself, but trust me, this time they're going to give even more information, okay? On or about April the 23rd at approximately 3:52 a.m., Black Cloud used Instagram to send message to West. Hey, did you get back okay? On or about April the 23rd, between approximately 1:53 p.m. and 7:42 p.m., Black Cloud researched online 15 of the 24 organizations that received the Angie M 11587 email and performed searches such as KKK email, contact news about a story, and news Colorado Springs. On or about April the 23rd, between approximately 7:18 p.m. and 7:24 p.m., West performed web searches such as complaint letter against racist acts and candidates' racist acts during campaign. On or about April the 23rd at approximately 7:24 p.m., West used the internet to access a document entitled Hate in Elections with the subtitle, How Racism and Bigotry Threaten Election Integrity in the United States, and then copied the sections below into an email. And then they basically were pulling from these different sources. They're putting together basically a PR statement. They're being, it's very like a crude way of doing it, but nonetheless, they knew exactly what they were doing. They were putting together a PR statement. So again, these people were trained in exactly what they're doing. And I'm telling you, this is not the first time. This stuff happens all the time. Anytime something goes viral like this on social media, you can pretty much count on it that this is the kind of shenanigans that goes on behind the scenes. And I'm always the one sitting up here like waving at our people trying to tell, hey, listen, slow down with your emotions. I'm telling you, there's more to this story. But anyway, on or about April the 23rd and around 8:40 p.m., Black Cloud and West drove to the parking lot of a large retail store in Colorado Springs. The free Wi-Fi at that store was then used to create the Gmail account, the Angie M 111587 at gmail.com. At approximately 9:01 p.m. on April the 23rd, 2023, the email address that what I just told you sent an email to Candidate One's campaign, multiple media outlets, nonprofit organizations, civic groups, Colorado's government officials, and an email account associated with that organization that these three people were saying that they were part of. The photograph above was attached to the email along with the 4-second video file showing that the cross was actively on fire. The email contained the message below. Portions copied from the Hate in Elections document are highlighted. Let me just check something real quick here, and then we'll just go ahead and continue. All right, let's go. All right, and so this is the PR statement, that they kind of put together here. Whole PR statement. And you can read that on your own time. I'm just going to skip. And they said, I'll just read this part, this last part here. This is the PR statement that was disguised as this is coming from people of Colorado Springs. It says, how are we going to stop this and stop these people from spreading hate crimes throughout the community? It's clear who's sending this message, and the people of the city need to know. Candidate Wayne Williams is pushing hard to win this candidacy, and I'm completely appalled at how his following and members are carrying out this nonsense. I'm sending this email and footage to all broadcasting networks and organizations so that they can see that they're doing what they're doing towards Yemi Mobolade's campaign. We have to come together in unity and stop the hate crimes and acts to detour citizens from voting. I'm asking that you share this information to the masses to help stop these acts throughout our city. And it's signed, Citizens of Colorado Springs. This stuff happens all the time. All the time. On or about April the 23rd, 2023, at approximately 9:04 p.m., Black Cloud texted Bernard, okay, baby, and we're going back now. On or about April the 25th, between approximately 3:30 p.m. and 4 o'clock p.m., West traveled to the parking lot of a large retail store in Colorado Springs to use its publicly available free Wi-Fi to check that email, that Angie M email account for responses to the email that had been sent on April the 23rd. On or about April the 25th at approximately 7:56 p.m., Bernard used Facebook Messenger to send Black Cloud a link to the local broadcast news report on the cross burnings. On or about April the 25th at approximately 7:56 p.m., Bernard texted Black Cloud, "Look at your Messenger ASAP," and we got traction. On or about April the 25th at approximately 7:57 p.m., Black Cloud responded to Bernard via text message, "Bing bong," and "Yup, it's up." On or about April the 25th at approximately 8:02 p.m., Black Cloud responded to Bernard via Facebook Messenger, "Last night at 10 p.m., I bet it was on the 10 o'clock news," and blanks, wow. See, again, this is how it works. On or about April the 25th at approximately 8:59 p.m., West responded to a Facebook post about the cross burning on their own Facebook page, their little organization's Facebook page. And this is what she posted. "This is completely uncalled for, and I'm disgusted at this." See the game they're playing? These are black folks. All of these are black people playing this game. I want you to take note of this. On or about April the 25th, 2023 at approximately 8:21 p.m., Bernard posted the following to his personal Facebook page in response to their organization's post about the cross burning. Then Derek came along and said, "Respectfully, if I find out personally, someone will drown, period." It goes on. On or about April the 25th at approximately 8:22 p.m., Bernard sent a Facebook message to Black Cloud saying, "We lit," all in violation of Title 18, United States Code Section 371. Count 2. On or about April the 23rd in the state and district of Colorado, the defendants, Derek, Ashley, and Deanna, through the use of instrumentalities of interstate commerce, the internet, and email, and in affecting interstate commerce, did willfully make a threat and maliciously convey false information, knowing the same to be false, concerning an alleged attempt being made to intimidate an individual, candidate 1, by means of fire in the form of a burning cross placed in front of a campaign sign for candidate 1's, defaced with the blank word. And then they put there, all in violation of Title 18, United States Sections 844 E and 2. There you go. Okay, so what's the takeaway here with this story so far? So here you got this guy, Mayor Yemi, who basically is now coming out that he had some kind of relationship with these three, which is way out of character for any mayor to have this kind of close relationship where you're Facebook messaging and having phone conversations, and he's telling you, okay, we're here for you. I got my crew. We're getting ready to do this and that or whatever. And then you hear one of this guy, Derek, saying, "Hey, listen, we're going to talk business now that you won. We'll talk business. We'll handle business later on." So all of this is this. Now, what happened? Why did this not become national news? I'll tell you why. Because they told you in that Daily Wire, they said that here you got Biden's Justice Department. They put a kibosh on it. They said, "No, we ain't going to talk about this because, hey, listen, this is the first black mayor," which we're going to talk about that now. Was he truly the first black mayor of Colorado Springs? I'll answer that for you. No, he was not. But let me just finish these thoughts here. So this guy basically, this mayor, it's all coming out right now. Clearly, he had something to do with this thing. And they even were talking about how they were sitting down the first 2 times questioning him. And he's literally skipping over the messages that apparently he must have had with this crew. But they already have all of that information. They already got all of that. So it's just a matter of time. Now, the question is, will the Trump administration, are they going to pursue this? Is this going to go even further? What's going to happen? We'll find out. But anyway, here is the other part of this story, too, that I think is very important, and it ties in to the overarching point that I'm making in this video. So what this man, so one of the things that when he was elected, Mayor Yemi, when he was elected, what they basically, Yemi, I would say mainstream media was throwing out here that he was the first black mayor of the city of Colorado Springs. That is not true. He is not the first black mayor of Colorado Springs. Now, he may be the first elected mayor of Colorado Springs, but he is not the first mayor. And to that, all we got to do is simply go to the Colorado Springs Pioneer Museum. Well, you ain't even have to get in the car for this one. It's right on their own website. So let's pull it up and I'll show it to you and what they had to say on this. Okay. And his name was Leon Young. And so we did all this reading about Mayor Yemby and this whole mess that he's involved in right now. We should and we need to read about the true first black mayor of Colorado Springs. Let's read it. Born in West Monroe, Louisiana in 1924, Young moved to Colorado Springs at the age of 18. He briefly attended Colorado Springs High School, but soon left to join the workforce. First at Todd's Shoe Shine Store and Repair, then at the El Paso Club as a doorman and later bartender. In 1943, Young enlisted in the U.S. Navy, serving in the World War II and Korean conflict. After returning home, Young resumed work at the El Paso Club and purchased a home in the Hillside neighborhood with his wife, Margaret, whom he married in 1945. In 1955, daughter Denise was born. That same year, Leon founded Young Janitorial Service, which became one of the most successful minority-owned businesses in Colorado. As a respected business owner and leader in the community, Young was encouraged by many to run for city council in 1973. Among issues he championed were improved funding for social services, equal opportunity for the municipal workforce, and a more civil and conscientious workforce. Young also spearheaded several neighborhood improvement projects in his district, including Shook's Run, Hillside, and Old Colorado City. In 1981, he was unanimously appointed Leon Young to the post of vice mayor, a position he held for 16 years. In 1997, after Mayor Bob Isaac stepped down as mayor 3 months before his term ended, Young was sworn in as interim mayor of the city. And it goes on here, and this is Leon Young and his wife. This is the true first black mayor of Colorado Springs. So we're correcting that right now. So I know they like to do word games with this and say, well, he's the first black elected one, talking about Mayor Yemi. But, you know, I've seen him too much playing very fast and loose with the language here. Let's be clear here. This was the first black mayor of Colorado Springs. And let that stay on the record. Even Colorado Springs is making that clear. Young was a most valued and celebrated community member, entrepreneur, and councilman of Colorado Springs, passed away in 2001. His legacy is preserved in several public buildings and parks named in his honor: the Leon Young Service Center, Leon Young Sports Complex, and Leon Young Pavilion. And in the neighborhood and communities, Young strived to improve throughout his 28-year career on city council. And then it goes on here. Here's some other pictures of him as well. But what's the takeaway here in this whole video that we are doing here? Number one, here you have, this ties into what I was saying in the beginning, as far as, is there this, in answering this question, is there something afoot, you know, that's been going on for some time that is an attempt to replace Black Americans, our history and our culture and our identity? Well, I'm answering it for you right now. Here's yet another example that absolutely, yes, it is happening, and it's been happening. And you and I, we've seen this in the movies and all the other examples in sports and in music and all that stuff. We've been seeing this, and we're going to continue to see it. But and also in a lot of these black mayors, many of the mayor down in Jackson, Mississippi, matter of fact, he's African. Well, he has an African name, but you know, I believe he's African. But then you got not senators. You have some of these Congress people, they're African. You also got people, what was the other thing here? Just all over, you're seeing a lot of the judges, many of these judges that Biden is appointing. You got to check their records too. A lot of these people, these are people that come from Africa. Now, I'm not saying all this so that we can be, you know, just giving us a reason to hate all Africans, because I certainly do not at all. But I am pointing out in this particular example here this guy maliciously, and I will accuse him of that, tried to cover himself in our own experiences, even our tragic experiences, where many of our ancestors, many of our people experienced things like a cross burning and all that. Well, he saw that as a key to getting elected. So he conspired with the lowest of the low to get this out here so that he can be seen more as a Black American who's going through this cross burning experience kind of thing. So that was very slick on what he did. But then, like I said, to follow up and say, I'm the first Black, mayor of Colorado Springs, that's not true either. So in conclusion, what I'm trying to say is this, is that going back to those numbers, like I said, I encourage you again, go back, look at that post that I did, because we went through actual numbers, okay? What we know today as Black American culture or Black American community is in fact going into extinction mode. There's no way around that. There's no way around that. I am an extreme realist when it comes to looking at these things, right? I have a lot of hope. I can have a lot of hope too, but I'm looking at the numbers and we're already walking in that, which means that we're going to see more and more instances like this where, people coming from the continent are going to feel this liberty to kind of parade themselves as Black Americans, even going to this extent, to what we're seeing in this story here. And there's going to be plenty of others as well. Heck, we just had with the presidential election, where you got somebody who's Indian, who's parading themselves as Black American, but a lot of Black folks just bought into it and they say, yeah, she's Black. So it's sad because even our own people, we've already have given up and just say, hey, listen, we're not good enough. We might as well go with anybody that's got Black skin and went to an HBCU. So we're living in this space right now where it is happening. But make no mistake about it. Listen, like I said again, this whole story, me reporting on it, is in no way, shape, or form my way of attacking all Africans, nor am I saying all Africans have something to do with this. I'm not saying that at all. It's just what it is. And I also know that there are plenty of Africans that see this and like, man, this is crazy. Why would he do something like that? So I'm not speaking to them. Who I am speaking up to are those Africans and any other person that may have Black skin that comes into this country and believes that somehow you can do this kind of stuff and just simply walk over our culture and just take over our stuff. We're not going out without a fight. And as long as stories like this keep popping up, and as long as there's people like me that are here to report on it, well, guess what? We're going to expose you for who you really are, because what we're committed to is making sure that our future descendants get the truth of the matter when it comes to our history, our culture, our practices, and everything else. But you cannot and you will not come into this space and just think that you can just take over, our identities like this and think that somehow you're just going to be able to walk through like it's no problem. No, we're going to call this stuff out for what it is. And that's it. That's what I want. I want that to be absolutely clear on that. But my hope is that this guy, Mayor Yemi, I hope that he gets that this story continues to catch fire, and that the Justice Department will completely haul him out for this mess, and that justice will be served in this, because the people of Colorado Springs don't deserve this, and that needs to be exposed. So anyway, I wanted to go through this story. I thought it was a very interesting story. What are your thoughts on it? Put it in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys take care, and we'll be talking again soon.